Enter the legal committee. I need a motion to go into executive session. Tina, second. Julie, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. we're going to, we're coming out of the executive session for legal, no action was taken. Meeting, part of the meeting will be adjourned.
Okay. Take a break and then bring everybody in and start back.
Call to order the Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Okay. Okay. We're going to start out today with our February 28th Statement of Revenue and Expenditures. Melissa.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, or good afternoon. Oh, I knew I didn't do that.
You practiced that.
I know. I did on my walk-in too. All right, we're gonna get started. We have a busy agenda today. So, after 11 months ending February 28th, the authority reports a consolidated operating income of $4.46 million. This excludes capital contributions and non-operating expenses. For operating revenues, they are performing 6.2% over budget, 9.6% over prior year, and 16% over fiscal year 2024. The The favorable budget and prior year variances continue to be associated with increased ridership across both fixed rail and demand response services, scheduled and unscheduled contract rate increases, and higher demand for contracted services, and advertising and other revenue continues to perform on budget and in line with prior year. This is pretty much the same story over and over again at this point, but is there any questions? Operating expenses as of February 28th, operating expenses total $83.1 million. For personnel expenses, they total $58.3 million, $7.8 million under budget, and $2.3 million over prior year. All personnel expenses categories are currently under budget, reflecting favorable variances across wages, benefits, and other related costs. Non-personnel expenses total $24.9 million, which is $1.5 million under budget and $3.7 million over prior year. These variances continue to be attributed to risk management, with variances driven by premium costs as well as self-insurance claims under the auto GL policy stemming from prior year incidents. Operating efficiencies in purchase transportation, higher than anticipated bus part savings, and contract expenses being less than anticipated for engineering, legal, training, and software support. Any questions in regards to the expenses? In summary, personnel expenses are 11.8% under budget, 4.2% over prior year. Non-personnel expenses are 5.6% under budget and 17.7% over prior year. And overall expenses are 10.1% under budget, 7.9% over prior year, and 18.6% over fiscal year 2024. Non-operating revenues are performing 6% under budget, 2% over prior year, and 11% over fiscal year 2024. The budget and prior year variances continue to be associated with federal and state preventative maintenance for operating assistance, which is only being utilized based on need. Mortgage recording tax revenue, which continues to exceed budget expectations in prior years, and investments continue to perform favorably. Any questions in regards to our non-operating revenues? Onto the supplemental reports. Mortgage recording tax for February, we anticipate a total of $758,000 in receipts. MRT is performing 32% over budget, 29.1% over prior year, and 28% over fiscal year 2024. Any questions in regards to our mortgage recording tax? Investments for through February 28th, unrestricted operating cash totals $18.4 million. We did receive the fourth quarter solar payment in February, as well as some prior year 5311 operating assistance for our rural properties in rural service. Uninvested board designated fund cash total $1.2 million, with the total uninvested cash totals being $19.6 million at the end of February. Treasury investments as of February 28th includes $15.3 million in operating funds, $17.9 million in board designated funds, with all investments yielding right around the 3.5%. Any questions in regards to our investments? During the month of February, operating cash receipts totaled $20.9 million, which included that just under $14.4 million in SOA for the quarterly payment. Cash utilized for daily operations was $7.5 million. Capital purchase totaled $314,000, and receipts of reimbursements for capital purchases were $494,000. Any questions in regards to our cash flow? If there's no questions, then that concludes the statement of revenues and expenditures.
Any other questions? Mary, second Robert. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now we're gonna proceed to the 26-27 budget, which you'll see the additional information in your packet.
So we're gonna highlight today mostly just the changes from the proposed budget to the final budget, and we'll get started. The final budget reflects the same ongoing challenges and continued optimism for the future that was outlined in the proposed budget. We'll continue to manage a complex financial environment shaped by rising operating costs, workforce shortages, unpredictable increases to operating assistance, and volatile mortgage reporting tax. Despite these constraints, Centro is actively reshaping its system in a positive and forward-looking way, with goals to increase frequency, connectivity, and the addition of on-demand services and services, which we are very excited about. The authority is presenting a balanced budget for the 26-27 operating budget. Revenues are budgeted at $104 million, which is an 11% increase from the proposed budget, which totaled $93.8 million. Expense.
Are these numbers on the revenue side what's kind of reflected now in the Assembly and the State bill, or no?
The only thing that we have reflected here is the governor's executive budget, which is 5.75.
Okay, because in the other house it's a
Yeah.
little bit more. But
So there's a three-way negotiation happening right now, but typically in the past, we've never
because
followed.
you've always been very conservative.
Conservative, yeah. Expenses are budgeted at $104 million, a 1% decrease compared to the proposed budget, which totaled $105 million. So we'll get into a little more detail what makes up these numbers and how we got the increase, or how we came to the increases in revenues. The operating budget has decreased by $63,000, which compared to the proposed budget. Regular line revenue increases are associated with anticipated changes in ridership revenue. Special line revenue decreases are associated with anticipated changes to the Syracuse University contract. The non-operating revenues, this is where we're gonna see the biggest change. Non-operating revenues has increased by $10.7 million compared to the proposed budget. The biggest increases are in the operating assistance line. This line has been adjusted by in the governor's preliminary budget, a 5.75% increase to SOA. And the remaining of that funds come from conserved preventative maintenance, and this is helping us close our budget gap. Mortgage reporting revenue as well as investment revenue has also been increased, and that's based on current trends and an optimistic outlook on mortgage tax collections as well as consistent yields in treasury funds. Any questions to the changes in the revenues? You kind of preemptively already asked it.
Try to stay ahead of you, so I never do it again.
Operating budgets did decrease by $961,000 compared to the proposed budget, and the most significant changes are in healthcare, which decreased by $248,000, and this is based on current trends and benefit usage, as well as the premium, the UMR premiums. Workers' compensation budget decreased by $224,000 based on current trends and managing claims effectively. The pension budget increased by $139,000, and that's based on current contributions, wage increases, and being fully staffed. Risk management budget increased by $102,000 based on current increases in insurance policy renewals. The service budget decreased by $458,000. That increases associated with the anticipated pricing for different services, our current market trends, and adjustment to needs in the upcoming year. The fuel budget also decreased by $167,000, and this decrease is associated with us having the ability to lock in our fuel rates as well as anticipated fuel credits in the upcoming year. Any questions in regards to changes in the proposed or in the final budget for expenses? Operating budget projections. The multi-year budget projections anticipated operating deficits over the next several years, beginning in fiscal year 28. The authority is projecting to experience operating shortfalls. Expenses are expected to increase at approximately 4% annually year over year, while operating revenues are projected to grow at a slightly slower rate at 3%. This coupled with non-operating revenues, specifically operating assistance, that are expected to remain flat over the next several years. If operating assistance remains flat, then the authority anticipates a total deficit over the next 3 years of $45 million. Given these projections, the strategies to mitigate the deficit remains the same as we discussed during the proposed budget process. In regards to revenues, we will continue to expand community partnerships and with the launch of our Business Pass program. We will continue to evaluate and renegotiate existing service contracts to ensure service rates align with our actual cost of service being delivered. We'll continue to invest idle cash when feasible to maximize interest earnings. And we will explore optimizing accounts payable through the use of a commercial credit card, which could generate rebates anywhere between 0.84% and 2.23%, just by paying our bills. We'll continue to advocate on the federal and state side for additional funding. We'll explore potential different credits related to alternative fuel sources. And we're continuing to advocate for the return of the CNG, compressed natural gas fuel credit. Also, our efforts with our system redesign will shorten headways, increase frequency, and hopefully increase ridership. Some expenses initiatives that we talked about will be continuing to evaluate departmental needs and distinguishing between needs and wants. Remaining diligent in securing and locking in favorable fuel rates, and advocating for changes to the under-the-hood requirement for transit employees, which we are hoping would help with recruiting and retention. Any questions in regards to the projection? So I just wanted to take a little closer look at the operating assistance, because this is really where our funding comes from. So in this budget year, you'll see under preventative maintenance, it's much higher than the subsequent years. And that's because we were able to use the conserved PM for this year. But that is really a one-time solution. So Chris, myself, we've continued to advocate through the state and federal government to increase our operating assistance in the coming years. And this will continue to be very vital so we can provide the service to the community that they desperately need. Any questions in regards to the operating assistance projections or how we are funded? If there's no questions, I'm going to turn it over to Tara to talk about our capital budget.
Excellent, Tara.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everybody. I am, as Melissa said, I'm going to talk to you. Pardon my voice, it goes in and out. So I'm going to talk to you all about the capital budget. Excuse me. As you may recall, this budget continues to be funded with a mix of federal, state, and local money. That has not changed since our proposed budget. But this particular budget now includes 46 projects totaling $21.4 million. That's an increase of 10 projects that are now funded, totaling $4.2 million since our proposed budget. The highlight in red right there remains to be 3 projects that are unfunded. One is a technology purchase, one is a software purchase, and another is a software replacement project. I do want to highlight again some of the projects that are included in the budget. Facility upgrades. We have the CNG rehabilitation completion. We have trench drains, NFPA compliance, and door replacements. In the equipment and system upgrades line, we have lifts, bus equipment, fare boxes and vault, and LED traffic lights. In the transit enhancement projects line, we have the bus rapid transit development, and also the installation of real-time solar signage. We have a land acquisition in there that continues to be for the Central Oneida Facility Project. And vehicles, we have 11 paratransit style vehicles. We have a plow truck, service vehicles for Cortland and Utica. Any questions? Let's talk about the projections that we're looking at. And this is going to be for Oneida County and Onondaga County. And we're going to look at 2026, 27, all the way through 2030, 2031. And we are looking at about $200 million worth of projects in that 5-year period of time. I do want to highlight in here, this number now includes $33.5 million of the Oneida Facility Project. It was previously reported in our proposed budget that it was unfunded. Subsequent to that meeting, we were notified that we received a bus and bus facilities grant, 5339, to fund that particular portion of the project. Also included here is $8.3 million in unfunded projects. So there are engineering projects that are here in Syracuse and Oneida. There's pavement sealing and new software. Any questions on projections for Oneida and Onondaga? All right. Let's talk about the projections for Cortland, Oswego, and Cayuga. So our projections here total just under $65 million. The projects here are funded through Rural 5311 federal funding. We get that passed through in New York State, and it was awarded after we presented the previous budget. So included here are $58.4 million of unfunded projects in Cortland County. The projects include the new facility, 30-foot buses, and paratransit vehicles. Any questions?
Is this funding current, or is it like a year behind, does it lag?
It's actually a 2-year lag sometimes.
2-year lag?
On the capital side, is Central planning on applying for the Transit Ready New York grant?
Yes.
Okay. Are you guys also planning to apply for the Transit Equity Pilot Program grant for the operation funding?
So I'm waiting on some answers back from New York State to understand how we qualify
Okay.
in that round.
Okay.
I have a bunch of questions for them about it,
I'm
so.
interested in that one
Yes,
too. Okay.
so as soon as I get some answers back, I can touch base with you
Thank you.
and update you about that. But yes, Transit Ready New York is very exciting, so.
Are any of these projects slotted in that grant or?
No, actually, the project in that is going to be the RT.
Oh, wonderful.
Any other questions? Let's finish up by looking at the 26, 27 through 2030 and 31 projections for all 5 counties as a whole. This is going to total just under $265 million worth of projects. And as a reminder, they do remain mixed between federal, state, and local funding. And just to know, our project teams are going to work very diligently to complete 123 projects. That's what this turns out to look like over that 5-year period of time. They'll do so being mindful of resources and time and the funding along the way as well to complete those projects. Included in this particular projection, there are 17 unfunded projects that are going to total $66.7 million as well. And the finance team will continue to find avenues to fund the unfunded projects that we do have in that list. And we do that by evaluating project-based capital surpluses, adjustments to prioritization scores, and also identifying new funding sources. Any questions?
This is a very good understanding of where we are and where we're going on the capital side. It's a lot of projects to help improve our ridership, to help our staff. And it's a lot of hard work now going into not only the planning, but obtaining the funds. Obtaining the funds.
And you hit it spot on, Mr. Chairman, and certainly Melissa and the finance team, but also everybody. I think this is the first time Melissa mentioned it. I hope I'm not stealing
No,
your comment.
Go ahead.
But with the capital planning team, the processes that we put in place, it includes everybody. We're able to continue to drill down on these projects, making sure, they're timely, the funding for it. The facilities team and everybody doing their due diligence to make sure that we're getting good projections, good estimates. But this is the first time we've been able to plan and zero in specifically on this level, at least my time frame, and I'm sure for Tara and Melissa even longer. So the process is coming together to fine tune this and then find the money. We have a plan, we know our projection, and that makes the conversation a lot easier when we're in Albany or in Washington DC. So
It's pretty aggressive over the years. Like I looked at multiple capital budgets after a long time. 260+ million. That's a lot of money for a lot of projects. So I always look at it this way: if we don't go for it, somebody else in the country is going to go for it. So we might as well go for it to make our authority the best it can be. Good. Okay. So what I'm going to do, Melissa, is there anything else on these budgets? Because else I'm going to do a couple motions here.
Nope, we're good with the budgets, I just need the motion for both of them.
All right, so I'm going to ask for a motion on the operating budget first. Okay, hold on 1 second, I'll just make myself a note here. Heather made the motion first, second, Tina. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Second, you want a capital budget? May I have a motion, please? Darlene, second. Tony, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving down.
I have one more.
Yep.
Did we do a motion on the statement?
Yep. Julius and Bob.
Wow.
So I'm here to request a motion to increase our capital reserve. In January 2022, the board approved the establishment of the capital reserve in the amount of $5 million. This reserve was established to support the local share of federal funded projects. With the authority's recent success in securing competitive grant awards, we anticipate the local share being required for these projects will be significant over the next 3 to 5 years. To provide a little more context, over the last 2 years, the authority was awarded $74.8 million in competitive awards, which is monumental. And what is needed to move these projects forward. But that comes with a local share, funds that we need to provide, and the local share of this would be $13.4 million. So significant, which would bring the total project cost to $88.2 million in competitive awarded projects.
So your recommendation?
Yes, my recommendation is to increase the reserve by $2 million, which would make the value $7 million.
So we're moving the money from the operating over to the reserve.
Correct.
I want everybody to understand that. Okay, it's good fiscal management.
And that money you can invest in short-term treasuries.
Yeah, most of our board designated reserves are invested in treasuries.
May I have a motion? Luella, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, good job, thank you. Thank everybody that worked on all this. It's not easy, and it's not fun.
It's fun.
It's kind of fun.
We might have a distorted image of fun.
All right, so, I think we're going to talk to Caitlin here. Caitlin's gonna come up and talk about the retiree drug subsidy services. She's gonna talk after about Syracuse facility siding and door replacements. She's gonna talk about the real-time signage data. She's gonna do 3 buses purchase, 20 bus purchase. Just stay here the whole day.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I got that right.
Yeah, good job.
I was practicing too.
Well, say good morning, yeah.
afternoon, yes. So my first resolution is for the retiree drug subsidy reopening services. This will be paid for, no, it will not be. This is a revenue contract, excuse me. Very exciting revenue contract. This request for proposal was publicly let on January 5th. We invited 7 vendors and 9 proposal packages were downloaded. On January 27th, we received one proposal from RDS Services, and our evaluation committee did determine that that was an advantageous proposal. They offered a 30% a 30% fee on the recovery rate. So we are looking for award to RDS Services.
Who do we currently have?
RDS Services.
I knew you were gonna say that. Just sometimes board members, any reason it's just for one person to come, one firm to come forward?
This is a very specific
Okay.
niche type of a contract. We have not received very many responses in the past.
Okay. Any questions, Caitlin, on this?
How does it impact differently retirees? Is there any impact?
To the retirees, I'm
No,
not.
there is no impact, Tony, to the retirees or anything.
I'm a little sensitive to that. Thank you.
No, it's a subsidy that we received because we are providing, prescription services to our retirees.
Okay, so, no other questions, any motion for award contract to RDS Services for a 5-year term? May I have a motion, please? Heather, second, Tina, any discussion, all in favor? Okay, moving on to resolution 3B, the facility siding and door replacement kit.
This will be paid for with 100% state dedicated funds. This invitation to bid was publicly let on January 7th. We sent out 100 invitation for bids, 38 were sent to minority women-owned businesses, and 25 bid packages were downloaded. On February 4th, we received one bid from Bellows Construction Specialties. They offered a price of $329,779, and we do have a full 100% MWBE utilization goal on this contract. They have an MBE certified subcontractor, and Bellows is a certified WBE. So we are looking for award to Bellows Construction Specialties.
Questions for Caitlin?
Thank you for that, though, because this is the first time I've ever heard. I didn't hear. We're waving.
No.
So thank you.
Okay, no questions? Need a motion to award contract to Bellows Construction Specialists for Syracuse facility siding and door replacement in the amount of $329,000 odd. I have a motion. Tony, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Resolution 3C, digital signage system maintenance and support agreement. Okay.
This will be paid for with a combination of federal, state, and operating funds. As you may recall, last month I came to the table asking for award for our real-time signage system, the installation and purchase. This is in conjunction with that, this is the maintenance and support agreement for that system. So this is a sole source procurement through PaperCast, as they're the manufacturer of the devices and the software is proprietary. So they offered a price of $914,772.35, and that will cover the full 5 years of maintenance and support. So we're looking for award to PaperCast North America.
There's some escalation in the years
Yes.
two and out. Questions? I have a motion to award contract to PaperCast North America totaling $914,000. Heather, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, resolution 3D. Award contract with Gillig Corporation for 3 replacement buses.
Yes. This will be paid for with grant funding, an 80-10-10 split between federal, state, and local funds. We're looking to replace 3 of our diesel buses over at our Central Oswego facility. Now, this pricing came from the Washington State Cooperative Purchasing Contract, which we are authorized by the FDA to purchase off of. The pricing we received was from Gillig Corporation, $795,664 per bus. So the total for 3 buses is $2,386,992. Now we are asking for a retroactive award for this purchase as the Washington State contract expires today. So we have purchased and subsequently confirmed the order on March 16th, so it is a retroactive award to Gillig Corporation.
Well, I spoke to Chris about this ahead of time because we were cutting really short on what we need to do here. And 900, what was it per bus again?
795.
Yeah, they've gone up over the last few years.
Yes, they have.
What will these buses look like? The one similar to the one we
These
have?
buses, I believe, are gonna look exactly like.
So they'll look like the blue buses we have now.
They had a big shield, right? You make sure they have that big
Yes,
shield.
yes.
A lot of the bus drivers been talking about
Yep.
that clamp that goes in there.
Yes, that is being retrofit and being adjusted, but yes, there'll be new buses with that.
What type of fuel are these buses?
These are gonna be diesel buses.
These are gonna be diesel
Yep.
buses?
So these buses specifically will be for Oswego. They'll be replacing the MCIs that do the commuter service between Oswego and Syracuse.
Wonderful.
You know, the buses.
Hey.
Translation, stay in your lane.
You told me that before.
Really, I got Tony next year for a reason. Okay, any questions for Caitlin? If not, looking for a motion for the 3 heavy-duty transit buses from Gillard Corporation. May I have a motion? Heather, of course. Lois, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Heather, you can bring back some good news to Oswego today.
That's awesome.
Okay. Moving on here. We have one more. Authorization to award 20 BRT bus purchase. Caitlin.
So Centro was awarded a competitive low-no grant. During this grant process, we did partner with Gillard Corporation. So this partnership under the competitive grant application does suffice the competitive procurement action. So no formal action has been taken by the procurement department at this point. So the pricing we received from Gillard Corporation was $883,910 per bus, making the total for the 20 bus purchase $17,678,200. And these buses will be specific to our new BRT service. So we are looking for award to Gillard Corporation.
So let's just make Chris or Caitlin the low-no grant, just so the board, we talked about it before, but just so they're aware.
Yeah. So every year, or at least in the current, the past reauthorization bills, there's a low or no emissions competitive grant that goes out. The federal government earmarks a pot of money that we can go competitively after. So what you have to do is looking at projects or purchases that would reduce the emissions. So going from diesel buses to CNG or to zero emission type technology. Also in conjunction with this is the 5339, which is a bus and bus facilities grant, where we can purchase buses or do facility improvements with that. In this case, the low-no grant here was used to purchase BRT buses, which are going to increase frequency, but they are compressed natural gas. So, in this case, we can apply for the grant. These are the grant awards that we received in the last couple of years. Part of this pot of money is the rescoped funding. So last year, September, was it September? That we came to the board, I believe, to update the board on a rescope from the FTA with the changing of the propulsion system. So originally, these buses were slated to be hydrogen fuel cell technology buses, but the change in the industry, Gillig has put a pause on that program, and the FTA has allowed us to rescope that funding. So we are able to move to the CNG purchase of these vehicles with that funding and that project.
Good. Any other questions?
Do we need to do anything with our infrastructure? The additional buses or?
No. So in the net bus procurement, so what we're doing with the purchase originally, based on the funding and the availability, we were going to repurpose the existing fleet to cover the BRT expansion. Because of the system redesign, we were reallocating resources. In this case, what we were going to do is look at future bus procurements that align with the time frame of this delivery, and that'll just be a one-for-one replacement there. So instead of using our 5307 capital dollars, we're using the competitive funds, which allows us to repurpose that money to other projects, that 126 projects that Tara just presented. So it allows us to move money. That's why we continue to push hard on the competitive funds, because now we can use those funds for other projects. So no, in this case, there wouldn't be anything that we have to adjust.
Any questions? Okay, I have a motion to order 20 roll floor 40-foot CNG buses through Gillard Corporation. Julia, second. Tony. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Thanks, Kate.
Caitlin, thank you for coming up. Okay, good. We're gonna go over, resolution 3F, which is the term design and engineering. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. This contract will be paid for with a mix of operating and grant funds. Your request for proposal was publicly let on November 12th. 484 vendors were invited, of which 90 were sent to New York State minority and women-owned business enterprises. In total, 90 proposal packages were downloaded. On December 4th, 3 proposals were received, and it was determined by our evaluation committee that Wendell offered the most advantageous proposal for the authority. The pricing received from Wendell is attached in your board packet, and there is a full 30% MWBE goal on this contract. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board award the contract for term design and engineering services to Wendell for a full 5-year term commencing June 1st.
Questions for Chris?
Did Wendell build this building initially?
I don't think Wendell was responsible for this building. Wendell is the prime on the, or the consultant on the Oneida facility right now, though. I'm not sure the specifics on this. Do you know, Dave?
I know the expansion was Jackson Structures, but I'm not sure about the original.
I'll look in to see if DJ was here.
I don't know either.
I don't remember in '82 who it was.
I was thinking we've seen this, but I don't know. Okay, any questions for Chris? A motion to award contract to Wendell Architecture for up to 5 years commencing June 1st. May I have a motion? Tina, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Moving on to resolution 3G. Contract award for unemployment claims administration. Chris.
Thank you. This contract will be paid for with operating funds. Due to the small dollar value on this contract, 3 quote packages were sent out and we received 2 quotes back. Industrial UI Services offered the lowest price for this contract. This is a 5-year contract. The pricing received was in the amount of $13,750. The MWBE program is not applicable to this contract due to the small dollar value. Anything under $25,000 is not applicable to that. Therefore, we recommend that the board authorize the contract to Industrial UI Services for a full 5-year term. That contract would commence April 1st.
Okay, any questions regarding the unemployment administration? If not, and the motion to contract award to Industrial UI Services for a 5-year term. I have motion. Julia, second. Tina, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Moving on to 3H.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Good job. Overhead door maintenance contract. Hi, Jay.
See, I did it wrong. Couldn't do it.
Good afternoon.
Same difference. This contract was paid for with operating funds. The invitation to bid was publicly let on December 23rd, 2025. 18 vendors were invited and 16 bid packages were downloaded. On January 20th, 2 bids were received, with the lowest responsible bidder being Bonnet Sales and Services. Full waiver for MWBE participation was approved by the New York State Empire State Development on this contract. Therefore, it is our recommendation that the board award the contract for overhead door maintenance to Bonnet Sales and Service for a 5-year term commencing November 1st. Yeah. Well, and all facilities. Yeah.
Questions? I have a motion to award contract to Bonnet Sales and Service for 5 years. Heather, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we have one more, that's resolution, we have 2 more, actually, 2. 3I endpoint security. Okay.
Yep, this contract paid for with operating funds. The invitation to bid was publicly let on January 15th. 75 vendors were invited, 36 firms to New York State certified minority and business enterprises, and a total 80 bid packages. On February 6th, 10 bids were received, with the lowest responsive bidder being Corporate Computer Solutions. A full waiver for MWBE participation was approved by the New York State Empire State Development on this contract. Therefore, it's our recommendation that the board award the contract for endpoint security for Corporate Computer Solutions for a 3-year term commencing on October 1st.
pretty good spread with pricing there. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion to award contract. Robert, second. Heather? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, we have one more here. Purchase of 2 service trucks. Jay?
This resolution is for 2 service trucks. One to replace an existing truck at the RTC and 1 new truck for Portland facility. The purchase of payroll grant funds with an 80-10-10 split between federal, state, and local respectively. The bid was set down as a mini bid off of the New York State OGS contract and was sent to all 21 required vendors. On March 2nd, 4 bids were received, with the lowest responsive responsible bidder being Falls Dodge. Therefore, we recommend the board authorize a purchase order for $107,438 to Falls Dodge for 2 Ram 25 vans.
Wow, that was pretty close, wasn't it? Really close. Any questions? We have a motion to award contract for 2 trucks to Falls Dodge in the amount of $107,438. That motion. Luella, second. Julius, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Melissa, anything else to discuss?
Nope.
Okay.
That's everything.
Okay, very good. Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, welcome everybody to today's meeting. Appreciate us being flexible to adjust the schedule. And thank you, appreciate that. We have pledge of allegiance. Steve, why don't you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a quorum present. I'm moving a couple of things around on the agenda, so just be patient with me. Our next meeting date is April 24th. We'll have the pension committee, which will be interesting. Audit and finance. We'll have our board meeting. I need a motion to approve the regular minutes of February 27th. May I have a motion? Tina, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And now, right?
Yes.
Julie, we appreciate you coming.
He's an overachiever.
We had a good conversation.
I almost did it. I scheduled my colobus wrong and then opened the email and realized I did.
I'll sign your time card, don't worry about it. Chris.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. I will say it's been a very busy month for all of us. So I'm gonna try to keep some of my reports short and some highlights. I know I can't get to everything, so if there's something missed that you're aware of, we can talk about it. But certainly first and foremost, as we just talked about, so the One House bills have been presented on March 11th to start the negotiation process for the 26-27 budget. So the Assembly's proposed 7.5%, the Senate has proposed 15%. If you're thinking back to what last year's looked like, it's almost like deja vu. I think it was 15% and 7% from the Assembly, 50% from the Senate. The capital funds that were put forth for the Assembly includes the $26 million for Buffalo plus $100 million for everybody across the state. The Senate did not do nearly as much on the capital side with their 15%. Only $52 million has been increased. We are continuing to advocate, as I mentioned before. Rochester is taking over Gates County, so the Senate has put $1.3 million in STOA for Rochester to take over Gates. The Assembly has put in $1 million for us for Cortland. We're still operating at a loss in Cortland, and that's because we had not received the dedicated funding increase specifically to Cortland that we asked for last year. So we're continuing to advocate that. The Assembly presents it, the Senate does it for Gates, so hopefully in the negotiations, maybe we both receive a piece of something.
It's common, folks, when 20 years ago, I went to Oneida, we had some special appropriations.
Yep. Better Bus Onondaga, so a big topic that we'll talk about shortly, but we've continued to have our conversations with our key stakeholders across the Central New York region that are impacted in Onondaga County specifically. During our budget discussions and our lobbying, we talked with Senator May about the system redesign and the impact. So we did a one-on-one overview with her. Brenda and I met with her and her staff. While she was in Albany, they had a quick break, so we did an overview. Certainly appreciated that meeting, and she's excited about the changes. So the conversation we've had across the board, which I'll lead into Fayetteville Manlius, people have some concerns. They don't understand the full implementation of the system redesign, the Better Bus Onondaga. But once we sit down and have a conversation with them, they understand it. It makes sense. They're happy about the changes. They're actually going to see increased frequency and better service. So in Fayetteville Manlius, March 12th, Steve, Brett, and I went out to meet with anybody that's interested in learning more about what the impact and the changes are to the Fayetteville Manlius area. But I received a phone call from Assemblymember Sturpey on a Friday night that he's getting questions from the Manlius mayor about the system redesign, and they're getting feedback from the constituents, and they're not happy with the proposed changes. And I tried to explain to Assemblymember Sturpey that these are actually good changes. They're going to get better service. So he tried to explain that to the mayor. The mayor didn't fully get the translation, so he gave the mayor my direct phone number. So Friday night, I talked with the mayor. We set up the meeting. Present was customers, the town council, the mayor of Manlius himself, and it was almost like a town hall meeting. So we took questions, we overviewed the system, we talked about what on-demand was and how it worked, and showcased the changes for the entire system, but then specifically to Fayetteville Manlius. And by the time we left, they were excited about the change. One of the members from Mackenzie Hughes was there, and I think the message got back to Brad. that they are excited about the change. So the conversations are making progress in getting this on board, getting people on board. We continue to have these discussions, and I think as we continue for Steve and Paula's report this afternoon to the public hearing next month, that it's well received. It's being positively received in the community of what we're trying to do to continue those discussions. A few other things I want to highlight, really taking place in the last week, and a few other things prior to that. But as we continue to talk and tell the story, and I'm going to steal a line I was joking with Tony and Luella, is really being the chief cheerleading officer for Central. Melissa, we can coin that. The mayor's mentioned this for the city, but really, I've always advocated and talked about this the last year, telling Central's story. So with the marketing team and the help of the team, we've launched Get in the Know with Centro. So this is a social media program that we're going to focus the campaign on informing our customers, staff, the community stakeholders on what happens at Centro. If there's burning questions that we're getting in the FAQs or from customer complaints, let's do a quick, live in the moment video that showcase, what happens on a daily basis. What happens when your bus, where does your bus go to sleep at night? What happens during the day? What happens behind the scenes in the maintenance garage to get your buses ready? And there's a couple things we're trying to accomplish with that. Is certainly informing the community what we do every day. And I joke about this and say it all the time. The first thing I get when I say I work at Centro is, do you drive a bus? And then when we set up a meeting, the second question I get is, well, I thought your office was at the hub. And there's a lot of activity. If you look around the room, all of us in this room couldn't sit at the hub and do business the way we do. So that really resonated with me to say people have no clue what we do on a regular basis. So the marketing team and working together, we came up with Get in the Know with Centro, that we're going to showcase what happens. How do we do this? So monthly we're going to do 30, 45 second, 60-second videos that we can post from the different departments and different staff to showcase what they do, but also talk about these things that customers want to know about. And how do we get there? And hopefully it'll engage the community, it'll engage recruitment, let people know that there's other positions here besides drivers. We have mechanics, we have accountants. So there's some opportunity there, but so far we just launched the introductions video, and hopefully we have a long list. I don't think one a month is going to cover the list in the next couple of years, but we're optimistic for it and continue to see it. So stay tuned for the next video in the next month. If you don't follow us on our socials, go Centro Bus, download them, take a look at them. Last week on the 25th, I joined several NIPTA partners, CDTA, RTS, at the $1 Million Staircase in Albany at the Capitol to do a press conference and continue to advocate for the 15% and how important it is for all of our systems, not just CDTA and Rochester, but Syracuse and Oswego, the rural services get increases. So across the board, but we were supported by Assemblyman Magdarelli, Senator Cooney, who are both chairs of the Perspective Assembly Transit Committee and the Senate Transit Committee, Senator Fahey out of Albany, Assemblymember Meeks, Assemblymember McDonald, who's out of Albany, Meeks is out of Rochester, Bronson is out of Rochester. But the press conference was fairly well attended, continuing to get our message out there and the importance of the funding as we all look at the looming fiscal cliff in the coming years. As we talked today about capital funding, the 26th we received an email, which we thought was an error, being transparent on, for an additional $7 million in CMAQ capital funding for BRT. The state every year does an analysis of the funding and what was used and what was not used and what it was. If you recall, 2 years ago, we actually had to give CMAQ money back. We received some CMAQ money before COVID to implement some increased frequencies and services in the community. Due to COVID, we weren't able to do that. DOT would not allow us to extend that grant, so we had to forfeit the money. Well, in this case, we're actually going to receive money from those forfeitures. So Tara and the finance team worked very quick to get a letter up to NISDOT, to get to FTA, to receive $7 million in additional capital funding for BRT. So that's above and beyond the $74 million that Melissa highlighted this morning, or this afternoon. Here we are with this morning thing. This afternoon, which is another exciting, up to $7 million. Sorry, I don't want to say $7 million, but up to $7 million. So we're still, and I have a note that we're still waiting on the final dollar amount of the award. but we're continuing to see the investment in Central New York and Syracuse for the BRT project. Later that night, I attended the State of the County on the 26th. County Executive McMahon showcased a thriving county full of development and investment, which I think is part of where we're getting a lot of attention in Central New York, certainly for transportation as well. Highlighting various initiatives and projects that are already underway and things that are coming down the pike. So it was a great, I think, presentation to just showcase what has been going on. It's easy to talk about it and see headlines, but to see it all in one discussion was motivating to see what's happening in Central New York, and that we're part of that. On Friday, the next day, Micron had an announcement down at the STEAM School. It was part of Micron's Community Week, which is a series of free events taking place actually this week, so from March 30th to April 3rd. They have different things going on around the community at the Most and at the zoo, and during that event, they announced the first wave of the $250 million Micron pledge to spend on community projects. And we were fortunate enough to receive $2.2 million for a pilot program to create a bus route, an express bus route, from the hub all the way to Clay to serve Micron. That funding is operating dollars for the program. We're hopeful to see that be successful, that they're going to continue to fund it beyond the pilot program. And we're excited about the partnership. It just continues to show the investment they have in the community and what they're here to support and what their initiatives
How
are.
much was that award again?
$2.2 million.
2.2, and when they award that, is that something like they do on an annual basis of awards, or?
No.
Just curious.
No, they have a singular pot of money that they are responsible to award to various people. That pot will change if they decide to carry it through, but they have to do this initial set of awards.
Very good.
So we don't know when the pilot program is going to start. We're working with Micron through that process as, what is the need? Is it when construction starts? Is it when or more vertical construction starts, or is it when operations actually start, when they open the doors? But we're excited about the opportunity to continue that partnership to support the growing community. A few other highlights: Transit Employee Appreciation Day was on March 18th. We celebrated that at all properties. Staff was here bright and early. Janine was here even before all of us, setting up snacks and refreshments for the team across all 5 counties, but I've tried to encompass as many employees and see as many employees all day as we could. And then the one thing I want to highlight for our community piece is the Earth Day cleanup. So I believe the Earth Day cleanup this year would happen the next day after the board on the 25th, even though we're here on the 24th. But just want to let people know the sustainability team has planned the Earth Day cleanup to start at 9 a.m. on April 25th here in Syracuse. So if anybody wants to participate in that, please let us know. Say that again, dude. April 25th. So it'll be here at the property. We'll be here at the property. It's in partnership. Kate is here. So Southside Community Group. So JMA is part of it, and some other groups across in the area. And we do around our property, pretty much the city block around our property, to do a cleanup. This is now the 5th year.
With Southside, yes, for the 6th year for Central.
Yeah. So participating with that, if you want to participate, let us know.
What do we email?
You can send it to Janine and we can pass it along. So it's open to bring your family with you as well if you'd like. I know a lot of people participate and bring their kids, so it gives an opportunity to.
And if you do, let us know on the forefront, we can get you a t-shirt. Central branded cleanup crew t-shirt.
Can I just let you know now?
We need your size. Short sleeve, long sleeve.
And if you're gonna bring your daughter, it's family friendly.
She'll love that.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of
also,
little girls.
and also could have the community center have them put in their paper or whatever, how they do that, so they can help you get promotion on that also.
Okay. And I know, why am I drawing a blank? Mike Atkins is also participating in this group with us, so he brings folks in as well. Any questions on my report? I probably missed a few things. I wanted to hit some highlights and be respectful of your time. And Tony, I know Mom is waiting. So So, and it's been a long afternoon, so I just want to be respectful of that. If there's any
We
questions.
appreciate the advocacy with all the meetings you did with our elected officials.
Yeah.
It was, I know I was with you on some of them, but that was, I think it's always important, so.
One caution with the social media stuff.
Yep.
Let's be cautious of putting too much information out.
Yeah, we're being very selective of what we do. We're not gonna showcase, I mean, I see Bruce pop up behind, I don't know if he was showing his face or not, but, certainly we wanna be responsible of showcasing certain things, and really just looking at FAQs and just showcasing a little bit of what happens in the maintenance garage, the bus operators, how do the bike racks work? How do I board a bus that we do travel training? It's really showcasing those things that I think the customer service team gets a lot of questions on. And how do we capture?
Love the idea, makes perfect sense. But the buses sleep here and I'm keep the keys over here.
Yeah. No. Fun fact, most of our buses don't even have keys. There's a whole process, but thank you, Tony, we'll keep that in mind. Any other questions on my report? Jackie?
Good afternoon, members of the board.
Got it right.
Yeah, I know. I kept repeating it in my head, so. I'm here today to bring to you a tentative agreement between Centro and the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. They are a union out of Cortland, New York. We have a tentative agreement for the bargaining unit contract, which will be effective April 1st, 2026. It's for a 3-year period. It was ratified by the union membership on March 19th. So just to go over some of the highlights from that proposal or that tentative agreement, we have an overall increase of 3% over the 3-year term. The wages increased the first year 5%, second year 3%, and last year 2.5%. Starting wage for operators will be $25.20. Starting rate for mechanics will be $28.41. One thing that we did do is we changed the progression scale from new hires from a 5-year to a 4-year. We also mirrored the ATU contract for the cell phone policy. We established an FMLA policy to coincide with federal law because they didn't have one in their current contract. We removed paid floating holidays for part-time operators because they used to pay them. And we also increased a safety shoe allowance for $200 per year. Therefore, at this point, do you have any questions from the board? I see you thinking, so.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
It's about 61,000.
$25.20
An hour,
an hour. Yep,
40 hours a week,
correct.
about 1,200.
Those are that's the top rate.
So
Yep.
that's pretty good, I mean,
For a rural service, yes.
yeah, well, no, when recruiting, it should be,
We're hoping so.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons why we gave them a higher increase the first year versus the second and third year, because we're hoping that we can recruit more drivers.
and plus they have pension benefits, and they have health insurance.
Correct. Correct.
Is it 5, 3, 2.5?
5, 3, and 2.5. Yeah.
Any other questions? Appreciate you guys working on that, getting that done. May I have a motion to approve the UFCW bargaining unit contract for the terms and conditions that were negotiated? Tony, second, Luella, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Steve?
Good afternoon, everybody. I have to say that I've done this many times, but I've never done a report with my wife in the audience, so I'm a little.
It changes things, right?
So you're keeping him in line, right?
So, I'm gonna give you a ridership report. This month of February, pretty much 9% increase total Syracuse is up 8.5%, Auburn up 10%, Oswego up 9%, Utica up 9%, Rome went crazy again, was up 27%. On the fiscal year, I've looked at the numbers for what I would consider the end of the fiscal year. Totally, we're gonna be up about 3% overall. Ridership is about 79% overall, what it was pre-COVID. Syracuse is up 3% on the year, Utica up 9%, Rome 23%, Auburn's up 6.5%, Oswego's up 3%. So ridership continues to grow. I am a little concerned that we're going to start seeing it flatten out a little bit. I think in some areas we've kind of maxed out where I think we can be. Rome's at 96% of where we were compared to pre-COVID. Oswego 95%. I think that's going to continue to grow. Utica, I think there's some growth there. You're at 90%. Auburn is going to continue to grow. It's 80%, but in the past half of this year, it's been growing at a much steeper rate. Syracuse, we're at 73% of pre-pandemic. I think obviously the system redesign is going to invigorate ridership there. I'm really excited about the system redesign. I think it's something that we need to do to kind of meet the needs of the community. So I think that's some very exciting news on the future. Any questions about ridership?
I don't know whether this is your department or not. I noticed down at the home there's when you sort the buses and stuff, it's down.
Yeah.
Also
the information system.
Information
yeah,
system.
we were aware of that. We're working on replacement for that.
What about the cash machine and stuff like that?
The TDM should be working, right?
They have been down. We're working with our Gen Fair to repair them, but it is it's internal hardware, so we are waiting for the replacement.
Yeah, the people down there, they really have been very good at telling the people what to do. Because a lot of people come up there, they give them a hard time and saying, man, my car won't work and stuff like that. They don't want to big out money.
What was the time frame for that percentage? You said it was 9% up for Oswego. Was that since
That's
December?
for February of 26 compared to February of 25.
Okay.
We always do like year over year comparisons because our ridership is seasonal, so it's best to compare it to the previous year or the previous month because.
Steve, can you go just the counties one more time from last year to this year, each county? Can you do
Each
that
county.
one more time?
So last year, this year, Syracuse is up 3%.
Okay.
Utica is up 9%. Rome is up 23%. What we did in Rome with the system redesign is really paying off. Auburn 6.5%, and Oswego is up 3%.
Okay.
Part of the situation with Oswego is I've kind of taken the college numbers out. The college has decreased their service, making it more of a walking campus. When you look at the numbers overall in Oswego, they're down, but it's really we can't control what SUNY Oswego does with regard to their service.
It's those are good.
Yeah,
They're all up.
They're solid numbers. If you look at Call a Bus, it was up 20% in Syracuse over last year.
Wow.
I mean, the increases in Call a Bus are substantial.
Yeah.
Wow. That's going to continue.
And that's continuing across the board. That's not just Syracuse. That's across the country and across the state. The paratransit numbers are continuing to increase.
What are the paratransit numbers? Could you go over those specifically?
They were, let's see, we did 15,886 rides in Syracuse, did 192 in Cayuga, 617 in Oswego County. In Utica, we did about 2,000. We did about 300 in Rome, and Cortland, we did about 172. And it's really exciting to see Cortland use the Call a Bus as well because they didn't have that service before.
Tell me that again, Cortland, say that number one more time.
172.
Good.
And that was from 0 to 172.
Yeah.
So it takes time for these services to kind of kick in some of these communities that they're not familiar with how to use it. It's a process. You have to register.
Yeah, I know the Call a Bus system, a lot of people, even though we got Call a Bus, sometimes they don't know exactly how to fill out the forms and something.
Right.
That's when
And it can be time consuming as well.
Right.
So having said that, as Chris alluded to, we're going to have a public hearing on the system redesign in Syracuse on April 23rd. But before we do that, we need to have an equity analysis presented to the board so you have an understanding on the impact of these potential service changes are on our community to ensure that they're not a disparate or disproportionate burden on our community. And with that, I'm going to bring Paula Trone, our Title VI expert, to the table. And she's going to go over the preliminary equity analysis that she's been working on for the past weeks, months. So Paula, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Steve. It's our last board meeting together. It's exciting and scary all at the same time. I don't have a script, so I am now talking off the cuff, and I apologize for that. And here we go.
Brandon's with you.
So, yes. All right. Okay, good afternoon, one and all. Happy to be here with you today
Glad to have you.
to talk about Better Bus Onondaga's service equity analysis. So you all received your packet that has a lot more information than what I'm going to cover today, right? We're going to just go over the key things that you need to know so that we can hopefully move forward with our public hearing next month. So, here we go. So we all know the goals of Better Bus Onondaga, so we're not going to spend any time on this. But just as a reminder, these are our goals. I'm not here today to discuss how we've changed the service. I'm here to talk about the equity of the service to make sure that we're fulfilling all of our federal requirements. So what I'm going to talk about today is the difference between the current service on the left, the proposed service on the right. As you can see in the service on the right, we now have some areas that we're no longer serving, and we have some areas that we're serving in a different way via our MOVE system, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the equity related to these. Why are we doing this? For those of you that don't know, this is a federal requirement. We are required to evaluate the impacts of service and fare changes on passengers who are transit dependent, specifically minority and low-income populations. So before we go ahead and make any major service changes, we're going to look and make sure that we are not disproportionately affecting minority and low-income persons. Okay, so to set the thresholds for what we're looking at, we use census data. So what we're looking at here is Onondaga County's thresholds. So basically we have a 25.4% minority concentration in Onondaga County and a 21.7% low-income population. So I'm going to try to explain this as simply as possible, but so that you understand how this very thorough and complex analysis was completed. Okay. So the first part is identifying general demographic data, right? We need to know, we did this based on stop level. So we identify the population density for each stop in the current system and the proposed system. We create a walk shed, which is saying you could basically walk for an urban stop a quarter of a mile using our street network, and for a suburban rural, it would be a half a mile using the street network. And these are all things that have been established in our Title VI policies, right? So what we do is then you end up with a lot of funky sized areas, and then we merge them together and we dissolve it to create what we could consider a corridor. So we have the current stops, and then we have the proposed stops. And then we apply the census block data to that, and we look at the concentrations and percentages of minority and low-income populations in those corridors. And it takes into account how much of the corridor overlays with a census block group, and it calculates a percentage. So this is not an exact science, right? This is the best estimate that we can do at this point. So if there's only a small portion of a block group, covered by the corridor, it's only going to say there's 3% of that area. I'm only going to give you 3% of the population. So again, it's a best guesstimate, if you will, okay? And then we're going to compare the current and proposed system demographics. So that being said, if we look at our full system comparison, this is going to show us, so right now we currently just have fixed route service. And then with the new service, like I said, we're going to have MOVE, so it's a little bit different. But looking at the demographics of each of these two systems compared to each other, in the minority category, there's only a negative 0.3% absolute difference between the totals, meaning that you're comparing the 36.4% minority in the current system with the 36.1% in the new system. And we do the same thing for low income. Again, it's a negative 0.6% absolute difference between the numbers. So when you look at the overall statistics, there's not much of an impact overall on the percentage of minorities and low income persons. So we're still serving the same amount of people, if that makes sense, hopefully. So the map on the right is showing you our the walk shed area, but it's just showing you the concentrated areas of high minority and low income, and again, and then minority and low income block groups. It's a little hard to see up here, but again, in your packet, it's a lot clearer. It also shows you where those areas are within the move areas. So you can see all the yellow is a minority, high minority concentration, and all of the kind of speckled gray is low income, and then where they overlap is both. So we're still serving a good portion of that population, which is good. So when we look at the impacts of those changes, for our policies, we're looking at the difference between the minority population and the non-minority population affected, and we're looking at the absolute difference again. So we're looking at less than a percent, negative less than a percent difference in the minority, and on the low income side, we're looking at a negative 1.2% difference overall. And again, this is all census data. So the second part, and the most fun part of this analysis, and I'm gonna take a drink. Okay, so this is where we really get to the nuts and bolts of it. We're looking at the affected area demographic data, right? We're gonna take it to the next step, and we're gonna say, okay, we know there's areas we're no longer serving, so let's look at those areas. So then what we do is we take the current on those proposed areas, and we overlay them. And we look at those to see what areas are no longer covered, and then we get rid of anything that's in the move areas, because everything in the move area is going to be covered. And then we again do our calculations and figure out for those unserved areas, if you will, we look at it as a whole, and I looked at individual areas as well. So rest assured, I've looked at this as many ways as I feel like we can. So I like to say yellow and blue make green, right? I think is the best way to look at this. So yellow, which you don't see a lot of, but that is the proposed area's walk shed. So that's anything you see yellow is a new area we weren't serving previously. The blue is the current stop walk shed. So that would be areas that we're no longer serving. But keep in mind, this does have the move areas included in it. So we overlay the two walking areas to be able to figure out which areas we have discontinued service, and then we analyze that. So that's how we end up with this map, which was in your packet. So this is showing you the walking areas that are not part of the proposed service. That's what we're considering the affected areas. So anything outlined in that brown, I couldn't do blue over here because we have blue for the roots, and it would be impossible to see. But you can see.
Central Square is gone.
Yes.
So what's the plan to service those residents?
We will not be servicing those residents. There is such a small population of folks who use that route that it is cost prohibitive for us to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the route was designed effectively to get Central Square over to Syracuse because of the travel, but with our demand response service, and we can go into more detail about this, but I can connect people to Central buses with my small buses, but I can't cross over county lines. But if I don't have a Central bus to connect to, then all of those residents that live in Central Square now don't have any access. I would have to take them from Central Square to Fulton. Just something worth considering because that's a whole demographic that you guys are cutting out. I can't support that.
Call bus still go in that area that they cut out also.
Or you can do a fourth move zone.
You can do a what?
A potential fourth move zone.
We'll have to look at the cost and outweigh those options.
So at all of those areas. So if we combine all those areas together, and we look at the minority and low income concentrations there again, we're looking at 24.2% minority in that affected area and 22.6% low income. So still below our threshold. When you look at the effects between minority versus non-minority and low income versus non-low income, so per our standards, there is no disproportionate burden or disparate impacts. So the last thing to note is, again, like I told you, we looked at each of these individual areas to see if there were areas that did have concentrations that exceeded the county average, and there is one area that comes up, and that's in the Midland Ave corridor. So that has a 77% minority population in that area. And we're looking at an estimated population of about 1,300 people that could potentially be impacted. So basically, that area that people in this area, they would have to walk more than a quarter to a half a mile from the bus stops, or to the bus stops on South Ave, Valley Drive, and South Solano Street. So that's why this flag, because basically anything that doesn't have that line around it would be within what we consider a walkable distance for our policies. So there is service available in the area. It's just not as close to where they would have had it previously.
And we are looking to mitigate that as well with a repurposing of a service that goes to Metro at this point. It's something that we're looking at to kind of perhaps mitigate that impact.
So in conclusion, there is neither a disparate impact nor a disproportionate burden associated with the proposed Better Bus Onondaga system redesign. And the redesigned system will feature improved, simplified routing that will continue to serve Syracuse and surrounding communities, but with greater frequency, especially in the urban core. And so here are our next steps. We are going to continue our public engagement. Our intention is to hold a public hearing on April 23rd at the Inspire Innovation Hub. We're going to evaluate public hearing feedback and make any necessary changes. We'll then complete the service equity analysis and public hearing report that will tentatively be presented to the board in May 2026 for approval, with a tentative launch date of the service in June, July, summer 2027.
So let me just add a little bit to this. Heather's, your comments so noted, okay? This is preliminary, what we're gonna approve. I've been to a lot of public hearings, and if you do have an opportunity, attend one of them. It's kind of interesting because you really, you get to hear from the people in the trench sometimes exactly what their needs are, and I think that's good. And there's many times, and Steve, you're an expert at this, where we went into public hearings and then we gathered something and made changes because we never knew, maybe we didn't think of it that way. Because these are people that are actually using the system all the time. But what I'd like to do today is move it forward. Let's then gather the information that's gonna come out of that public hearing, and then you guys will do your tweaking and everything else that you need to do. And then, would we have to then finalize that?
So then it'll come back to the board in May.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you understand what's going on.
I understand. I still won't be voting for this just because there's also no public hearing in Central Square. So there's no feedback from the residents that live there as well.
Okay, so,
I can't support this right now.
so let's,
Understand what we're asking for a motion here is not the system redesign itself, it's the equity analysis of the system redesign. That's different. So you're not voting, you're voting to say, we've accepted the equity analysis, understanding that the impact of this proposed system does not include a disparate burden or disproportionate burden or disparate impact. It's not saying that the system itself is what you're not voting on the
I
system
know.
itself.
Can I review the ridership numbers before we do that? Because how do we know that that's not affecting that set of riders that was using the system in Central Square?
Let's say it's what the equity analysis looks at comment on this exactly is there a disparate impact specifically on minorities and low income users, under Title VI?
Okay.
So that's this is our analysis of the Title VI impacts, and that's what the board's being asked to approve, not to say that we agree that the system redesign is, substantively appropriate.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah, so I wanted a little bit of clarity on that.
Yes.
To Heather's point, what may be helpful is the ridership. If we knew the number of humans that are affected by this, if there's 4 people on the bus a day versus 50 people.
Oswego County can mitigate this. I need to be prepared because it's gonna cause a lot more calls to my office and a lot more transit planning on my team's end because I'll have to connect people in a much different way to make sure that they can come here for work.
Yeah, that's understood. You know, I've been in public
We got those
hearings.
ridership numbers.
I've been in public hearings over the years. We had one years ago at the Ion Center. I don't even know. I think I lost track count. It was over 200. But sometimes I agree with you. You do get a lot of good feedback, but I just don't think we're at that step yet to vote upon the major impact. We're not there yet. Alright, so, and I respect any way you need to vote on this right now, I appreciate that. So I'm gonna ask for a motion on this. Okay?
Go through what we voted on.
Is the results of the preliminary service equity analysis and authorize the public hearing to be done.
So again, this is the equity analysis portion of it, not the
Not the
actual-
service.
It's not the
Only
service.
equity analysis, no change in the service. So I have a motion on the table. Darlene. Is there a second? Robert? Any discussion? And all these comments are so noted. And I appreciate healthy, robust conversation. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Abstention?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so we know what we gotta do. If we can get some of that ridership out to the board, that would be much appreciated. Brent, is that gonna be you?
Yep, that'll be me. No
Okay,
problem.
good. So, at this point, I changed it up a little bit. This is, we're gonna have a retiree at the table. It's not Tony, it's not me preaching, okay? So, this has to do with Steve. And I'm gonna read some notes here. And, Steve's also here with his wife today, okay? Who's the strength behind him, I know that for a fact. Steve has dedicated nearly 28 years to the authority. In 1998, he started his career as a public information coordinator and worked his way up to the marketing department to become marketing and communications manager, then director of marketing and communications. He became vice president of communications and business planning after the merger of the marketing and service planning departments. Don't you love it? You combine departments and you just, keep one person, but you combine. In this role, Steve was responsible for the authority service planning, corporate and public communications, customer service, marketing and research, and transit advertising operations. Throughout his career, Steve has been involved in many projects and initiatives aimed at enhancing the authority's image and improving the service provided to customers. Some of his most recent efforts helped guide the team through system redesign in Rome and Oswego. A lot of this stuff seems very easy, but you guys here, the whole authority that works on these things, it's very complicated. Okay, so we just see the finished product. He also played a significant role in the Better Bus Onondaga and the Bus Rapid Transit project. Earlier this month, the marketing team was recognized by the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, which is our national association, for its Let's Go campaign. Today is Steve's last day at Central, and I thought it would be appropriate to bring him to the table, give his report, because if we didn't like the report, maybe I wouldn't be doing this out. And that's why I asked if we were up compared to last year. But on behalf of the board and everybody here at Central, I want to thank you for everything you've done for the authority over the years. You're a great professional, but even more important, you're a great person in general.
Yeah.
You will be truly missed.
Yes.
We appreciate you and everything you've done, Steve. I've worked with you for a long time. You've had some good workings, we've had some tough workings. But you've always kept us on track for what is best for the authority, what's best for the ridership, what's best for the staff. You were always kept that in front all the time. And we appreciate you. We know you're gonna have a great retirement. You got a great wife. And I'm sure there's a couple honeydew lists out there. But we appreciate you, and come on up and be recognized.
Let the light go first. All right, Joe, here we go. Ready, 1, 2.
Steve, some parting words?
Long career.
Long career.
I don't know. I'll say this. I've never woken up in the morning and dreaded coming to work, ever. This has been a job that I've looked forward to coming to every day. We do good work here. And we will continue to do good work here for the people of the communities we serve. Seen a lot. I have so many people to thank. People who worked in service development and in marketing have been tremendous. We have a good team there. I will also want to say to the members of the board that I know you're not here for the pay. And I thank you for the time and dedication that you all put in for this organization, but also for the constituents that you represent. I've seen some boards, I've been through some boards here that have not been nearly as cohesive and supportive as the current one. And I think that every time that there are changes to the board that I've seen, we improve the individuals that represent their communities. The backgrounds of the individuals have gotten better and better and better. And I mean this is the best board that we have ever had. I also believe that this gentleman here to my left has the focus and the energy to do the job. He is focused on outside these four walls, as he should be, to lead this organization, set a goal, and make us part of the community. He has done more outreach in a year than others have done in a long time, and it's good to see, because that's the job. And leadership here is transitioning. I'm the last of the old guard, and some new thinkers are coming on board that think probably more in tune with today's generation, and that's good.
You're trying to catch up with me in age.
Just let me say thank you all. It's been a great run. My time has come, and thank you all for everything. Thanks.
We also want to thank your wife for supporting you.
Yes. Yes. You look at yes.
Have to ask him, Chris, in all the months, how much longer, Steve, how much longer, never thinking that, when you used to work and enjoy working with somebody, you don't want them to leave. Today was the day. But, it's been very, I've enjoyed working with you on all my fronts. Thank you.
You as well.
Okay.
Missed that report, man.
Audit and Finance Committee, all of these have been discussed in detail. We'll come through these fairly quick, here. first of all is a motion to approve the statement of revenues and expenditures by Melissa. Motion was brought to the board for approval. May I have a motion, please? Anthony, and second, Luella. All in favor? Aye. The final operating budget, the operating budget financial plan, which was brought by Melissa and her team forward. I have a motion to approve that. Julius, second. Robert, all in favor? Also, there was some good work there on the capital project here. And with the finance team, and it was kind of gives us a good, I think, roadmap on where we're headed. Okay, and the hard work we gotta do to get there. A motion was made to bring it to the full board. May I have a motion, please? Darlene, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Melissa brought forward a motion to capital reserve. With all this going on, we established this some years ago. A motion to bring it from 5 million to 7 would allocate 2 million plus from operating. May I have a motion, please? Anthony, second. Darlene, any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 3A, retiree drug subsidy services for a contract to be awarded to RDS Services for a 5-year contract. Motion was made to bring to the full board for approval. May I have a motion, please? Julia, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Resolution 3B, Syracuse facility siding and door replacement. Once again, Caitlin did a good job bringing these together for a motion for Bellows Construction to Syracuse facility and door replacement in the amount of just out of $329,000. Motion made to bring it to the full board. May I have a motion, please? Luella, second. Robert, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Resolution 3C, digital signage system maintenance and support agreement. Recommendation was made for a maintenance agreement with Papercast North America totaling $914,000 odd for a 5-year contract. Motion to bring to the board. May I have a motion, please? Motion. Darlene, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. 3D, a 3-bus purchase. Staff recommended the board authorize order of 3 heavy-duty transit buses from Gillett Corporation. A single bus is $795,000 odd. A lot there, and total of about just under 2.386 odd. Motion made to bring to full board. May I have a motion, please? Robert, second. Luella, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Then we wanted to try to outdo that, so we went with a 20-bus purchase. And those were the 40-footers at a price. I just came over the year and I can't remember the prices. $83.09.
Wow.
I mean, and they're, if they ever had a house go through this authority, what would the house cost? It's a bus. Total 20 buses at $17,678,000. With Gillig, motion was made to bring to the full board for approval. I have a motion. Julius, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Resolution 3F. Chris brought forward these. Term design and engineering. These, which I call them like soft costs, professional services. Based upon the evaluation, staff recommended that Wendell Architect with a sheet of all pricing. Engineering, surveying, and landscape architect for 5 years, 2026, April 1st. Motion made to bring the full board for approval. By the motion. Anthony, second. Heather, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unemployment claims administrator. A motion was made for awarding contract to UI Services. Once again, this is not. This is under the $25,000 threshold, so it's not that MWBE. Correct. Correct. All right, for a 3-year term, in the amount of $13,750. Well, we just approved something for $17 million. Now we're down to $13,000. Okay. Have a motion, please. Not too exciting. $13,000. Second. Second. Robert. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. overhead door maintenance for the entire authority, correct?
Yep.
Yep, entire authority. Motion was made for a bid for 5 years for bonnet sales and service. We received 2 bids there. I have a motion. Motion was made to bring it to the full board. May I have a motion, please? Julia, second Luella. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Endpoint security. Corporate, recommends corporate computer solutions for a 3-year term. May I have a motion, please? Darlene, second Luella. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. 2 service trucks. To award contract amount of $107,000 odd to Falls Dodge. I'll make a motion, please. Motion, Darlene, second. Anthony, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, old business. Julius.
Well, we have our TNT meeting gonna be April, I guess it'll be next Monday. We've had a Southwest Community Center, and also I'm gonna be bringing up about what Centra's doing, and also we discussed a little about sometime to get the call bus thing, discuss that in more detail about what's going on with the call bus, stuff like that.
Sure, I think we're always happy to educate the people. Good.
Oh, one other thing.
Yes, sir.
We are working with the Elks Club, chapter 120. They're working with some graduates who they're planning to get some books and stuff for them, for the kids who are graduating from high school to go to college. So I would like for the board, the one that I sent you, to take a look at that and help these students who are coming up, who are going to be taking our place one day. That's one. And basically they're going to be trying to get help them with books and stuff like that.
Nice. Excellent. Okay, anybody else? Future business? A motion to go into executive session regarding labor? Personnel, I'm sorry, personnel.
And this is a personnel action to discuss potential employment actions
Yes.
involving specific people.
Thank you, Council. I'm getting a little tired here now. I got Heather made the motion, Luell made the second. Any discussion, all in favor? I want to thank everybody too for coming today and appreciate you being here. Appreciate you.
Not gonna work, yeah.
All good.
I'm all set. Okay, just came out of executive session. I'm gonna ask for a motion to give the non-represented staff a 2.5% COLA for the oncoming budget year. May I have a motion, please? Julius, second Heather. Any discussion? All in favor?
And no action was taken in executive session.
No action was taken in executive session. Enjoy the night, the rest of the week. I won't say weekend. Enjoy it. Thank you.